Nixon.
This is Jen Rubin for Payments.com. I'm here with Tim Murphy. Tim, why don't you introduce yourself to the Payments audience and tell us a little bit about the projects you're currently working on.
Sure, Jen, thank you. Welcome to MasterCard. I'm the Chief Product Officer at MasterCard, so I take care of 5 key areas here. Consumer credit, debit, prepaid, commercial payments, which are payments to companies and large market and small business, as well as IPS, which is our debit and prepaid issuer processing platform.
And what are the initiatives that you're currently focused on?
Well, there's a couple things. I mean, each one of those areas is very important to us. I think you would have heard Ajay say earlier today that our strategy, the first pillar of our strategy, is about growing our core businesses. And so the areas that I'm accountable for really are very much the core. So we have strategies in each of these places to advance the business going forward. I think in terms of the things that we think have the most significant long-term potential, I think 2 stand out in particular, although frankly they're all important. And one of the great challenges we have in the business is not for the lack of opportunity, it's actually how to edit and sort of make your choices amongst this wide set of things that you can go after. But for us, it's 2 things that are particularly important. One is prepaid. We see huge growth in the prepaid market over the next 5 to 7 years. We've put some sizings out which suggest prepaid will grow something like 20-25% a year over the next 5 years. We think that we like prepaid because it brings in new market entrants. A lot of innovation in the space. We like prepaid because it's about bringing new consumers into payments, and whether it's benefits disbursements, whether it's payroll, whether it's general purpose consumer reloadable, we see a lot of growth. And our strategy is really about having the right product set, so reload networks, bill pay networks, and then working with the right partners to take more than our fair share, frankly, of that space for MasterCard.
You answered one of my questions, is how will prepaid revolutionize the payments landscape? What I want to know is how will Durbin affect the initiatives and projects going on here at MasterCard?
So good question. I think the challenge with Durbin as we see it is that it's, as a regulatory intervention in the marketplace, it's taking a set of costs that are appropriately borne by merchants today and transferring them back to banks. And ultimately the way banks will react, because these sorts of things have happened in other markets, is they will react by raising consumer prices or frankly removing services from consumers. That's their only option. And so actually we see one of the big impacts of Durbin will be to take some consumers out of the banking system in the U.S. today. That's frankly one of the places where prepaid can help. And one of the things we're doing today is working with banks to find ways to make sure that that they are able to offer prepaid to consumers who otherwise would not have access to banking. But clearly, from a debit perspective, the Durbin legislation will I think impact the growth of debit and the extent to which banks are able to focus on debit. Debit has been growing very nicely in the U.S. Consumers are significantly moving to debit as a form of payment for everyday reasons. They like the control, they like the security, and I think all of that will still happen. It'll probably happen a little bit less fast than it otherwise might have had because of the impacts of Durbin. But for MasterCard, we see some real opportunities. We have as you know, we are challenged on our debit share here in the U.S. today. We've got about 24%, 25% of the market on signature business in the U.S., less so in PIN. We do think that the network routing rules within Durbin give us a real opportunity to talk to, it disrupts the market, so it gives us an opportunity to talk to banks again about some very strong and we think very competitive offerings that we've been able to build over the years. That's an upside opportunity for MasterCard. But for banks overall, I think Durbin will make debit less attractive, and it'll be a challenge for them to build profitable relationships with their customers, and that's something we're all going to have to work through.
So given Durbin, I'm going to ask you to peer into the crystal ball here because we're all about what's next in payments.
Yeah.
What do you see the debit industry landscape looking like 5 years from now?
5 years out? I think you'll see a couple of things. I mean, the first thing I think you'll see is again, as I said before, a portion of consumers who are banked today will no longer be receiving the traditional banking products that they get, the DDA account, current account, check writing, and what have you, because there will be increased consumer fees. There will potentially be reduced services. And so that's an environment that we're all going to have to deal with. I think you will see more prepaid in the space, including banks turning to prepaid as a solution, a low-cost solution for consumers who otherwise don't have access to those deposit products. So I think that's two trends. I think you'll see innovation. I think people will, take the new regulatory environment and use it as a basis for doing different things. So I think you'll see, for example, more of the kind of things we're doing with Marketplace today in terms of merchant offers or merchant-funded rewards. If issuers can't get that support from interchange, they're going to look for lower-cost ways to deliver value to consumers, and the kind of thing we can do with Marketplace, which big win for merchants and for the consumer who gets access to now that discount that they otherwise wouldn't get. I think you'll see that in the Marketplace as a bit of innovation. And then what I hope you see 5 years from now, and what we're working very hard to see, is MasterCard a much more significant debit share than we are today in U.S. debit. That's the opportunity that our company faces, and that's what we're going to try to go after.
So what is it about MasterCard's approach that sets it apart from its competitors?
On the debit space in particular in the U.S.?
Sure.
Yeah, I think a couple of things. I mean, one is the foundations are very strong. We have built over the years a world-class debit solution, both the debit MasterCard product, the PIN product. Our ATM access network in Cirrus is the largest in the world. It is by 200,000 ATMs bigger than the next guys. So we think we've got some great base products. It's what's different is the level of innovation that we've layered on. So only MasterCard can bring our customers Marketplace. Only MasterCard can bring our customers the kind of control features they get through In Control, which you heard about today. And then my job and Ed's job is to find the next few things that we add on to that to continue to build that differentiation. But frankly, the most important thing is the kind of customer insights that the account teams can bring with the banks, the kind of analytical work that the advisors teams can bring. I mean, SunTrust came to us and converted because we were able to talk to them not about cost displacement. We were able to talk to them about take their current portfolio and make it perform better by moving to MasterCard. So Chris talks about upgrading to MasterCard. The SunTrust debit portfolio will perform better for SunTrust in terms of activation, usage, revenue drivers to them, because of the partnership that our consultants and our advisors can bring. And that's tailored. That's hard to describe generally, but if you are the decision maker and you see how we can articulate a way for you to make more money out of your portfolio, that's more than product innovation, more than the baseline things. That's what drives the customers to MasterCard, and it's a very competitive environment. You got to keep investing in that. It means building great teams of people and keeping them here and keeping them motivated. I'm very pleased with where we are with it today.
And no doubt today's event was a strong showcase for the strong team you guys have here
I hope so.
at MasterCard.
Thanks.
Last question.
Sure.
Who or what has been the greatest influence on your career?
Here?
Or in general?
In general. That's a great question. I would say I think the thing that has most influenced my career here is not one individual, but it's the group of incredibly dedicated people I've been able to meet across the world. What I love about MasterCard is that, we're in 210 countries. We've got offices around the world. At the end of the day, there's only 5,000 people at the company. So you get to interact with professionals from around the world. And, last night I was on the phone with a colleague in Singapore. Tonight, Nandan and I will be talking about consumer credit. He's in London. I love that globality because it really is about, at the end of the day, local solutions. And having that global access is just extraordinary. I've really enjoyed that. So.
MasterCard is a global company whose biggest market happens to be in the U.S.
That's the story. We're sticking with it.
That's the story, and that's the story here from MasterCard. Thanks so much, Tim.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Jen, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, Ed, you're up.
Thank you.